he could not solve this riddle. The king needed help. There was once a king who loved nothing more in the world than a really good riddle. One day a box arrived for the king in the post, a box that came with a letter that read, "Can you tell the difference between these three?" Good, thought the king, a riddle. I love a riddle. And he opened up the box and he tore through the paper until he pulled out, very carefully, a hand-painted wooden doll. It was beautiful. A second hand-painted wooden doll, and it too was beautiful. A third hand-painted wooden doll, and of course it too was beautiful. The king set to work. He studied the three dolls long and hard, gazing at the first, the second and the third, and the second and the first. He looked at them from different angles, from different perspectives. He compared the first and the second and the second and the third and the third and the first, but he could not see a single difference between them. So he got out his magnifying glass and he studied the dolls long and hard, one by one, but still he could not tell the difference. He put the dolls onto the scales, but they all weighed exactly the same. He put the dolls into a bowl of water, but they all floated in exactly the same way. He sniffed the dolls. They all smelled the same. He listened to the dolls. They all sounded the same. He licked the dolls, but they all tasted the same. He could not solve this riddle. The king needed help. And so the king summoned the wise old woman from the city. And in she came, hobbling along and scratching her little beard. And the king said, good. Now, I want you to tell me the difference between these three dolls." And so the wise old woman, she gazed at the three dolls long and hard, until eventually she looked up at the king and said, "Well, they're very beautiful." "Yes, I know they're beautiful," said the king, "but can you tell me the difference between them?" But the wise old woman could not, and so she was sent away. The king thought to himself, well, if the wise old woman can't solve this riddle, then maybe I need some help from the fool. And so the fool was summoned. And in the fool came juggling mangoes. "Your Royal Highness, can I show you my latest tricks?" "No, no, no," said the king. "We don't have time for that. I want you to tell me the difference between these three dolls." And so the fool put down his mangoes and gazed at the dolls long and hard, until eventually he looked up at the king and said, "Well, they're very beautiful." "I know they're beautiful," said the king. "What's the difference between them?" But the fool could not solve the riddle. And so the fool was sent away, and the king was all alone once more. The king thought to himself, well, if the wise old woman can't solve the riddle, and the fool can't solve the riddle, then perhaps I know someone who can. The storyteller was summoned, a young man, and in he came, and he bowed down to the king, and the king said, "Tell me the difference, young man, between these three dolls." And the storyteller looked at the dolls, and the king said, "Whatever you do, don't tell me that they're beautiful. I know that already." But instead, the storyteller reached over to the king and plucked a hair from his head. "Ow!" said the king. "What are you doing?" The storyteller took the king's hair, picked up the first doll, and fed the hair very carefully in through the ear of the doll, and the hair went all the way in and was gone. The storyteller plucked a second hair from the king's head, picked up the second doll, fed the hair in through the ear of the doll, and this time the hair went all the way in through the one ear, and then began to emerge through the ear on the other side. The storyteller plucked a third hair from the king's head, picked up the third doll, fed it in through the ear of the third doll, and this time the hair went in through the ear and came out of the doll's mouth. Curly. "Well," said the king, "have you solved the riddle?" And the storyteller said, "Your Royal Highness, I believe I have. This first doll, this is a wise person's doll, because what goes in stays in. And this second doll, this is a fool's doll, because what goes in through one ear comes straight out the other. And this third doll, well, this is a storyteller's doll, because the storyteller will listen to the story and then tell the story." "Oh, this is all very well," said the king, "but in solving this one riddle you've left me with another riddle. My hair is straight, and yet the hair that came out of the storyteller's doll's mouth is curly. Tell me why." "That's easy," said the storyteller. "When the storyteller listens to the story, they take the story in, they retell the story in their own words, and often add their own little curl to the tale." The riddle was solved, and the king was delighted. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the story, and so I invite you to become the storyteller. Take this story, retell this story in your own words, and if you like, add your own little curl to the tale.